Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dave, and we're the IB English guys. And today is video number 5 of our series, the HL essay from start to finish. Today we're going to talk about editing, polishing, self-evaluating.
Mr. Giles, we have done a lot of work on this essay, or you have done a lot of work on this essay, rather. It is time to look at that final product and see how we feel about it, see if there are any other tweaks or changes we want to make, and make sure we submit our best work.
Yeah, this is an important part of the process.
You're not done until you've done this.
You've got to look your stuff over, and you've got to do that final polish. Okay, let's talk about our whole process, shall we, Andrew?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You know, in our first video, we really thought about all the different texts, both literary and non-literary, if you're taking Langlit, and we listed all of those in a table, and we thought about what are we passionate about? Where are our interests? Where do we want to spend our time? That was step 1.
Step 2 was looking at the line of inquiry, creating lines of inquiry, and really working with that, thinking about the linguistic or literary aspect, the rich idea, and then choosing the best line of inquiry we could find.
Yeah. Once we had done that, we went to step 3, which of course was brainstorming. We hadn't yet committed to one text yet. We had a couple of possibilities, and we went through different brainstorming protocols and thought about where do we eventually want to put our energy.
Yeah, and then our next step after that was outlining. We started to think about what textual references we could find, with different topics we could find for different paragraphs, and that was our outline. That's going to be our roadmap for our paper.
Yeah, we then got into the introduction of the paper. Of course, we had to take that line of inquiry and flip it and make it into a thesis statement. We did that. We talked about the importance of historical context, possibly defining key terms. There were many aspects in the introduction we focused on.
Yeah, and then we wrote body paragraphs, and that's our heavy lifting. That's where our outline really came in handy. We had all those textual references and literary features, and we had those really, try to write strong body paragraphs.
And of course, you end your paper strong with a conclusion. We noted how it sort of had links to the introduction, and it really reached out to wider implications and shows why this particular text is relevant and important to the real world today.
All right, my friend Andrew, we've written the whole paper. We've got it all written. What do we want to do? Why do we like to highlight and light it up? That's a pain. I don't want to do that.
Mr. Giles, it takes some time, and I'm sorry you don't want to do that, but when you highlight your paper and you light it up, you'll notice deficiencies in certain colors, and we've broken down our annotating protocol by colors because we feel those are the key aspects of the rubric, and when you see that you're light in one color, it means you're not very strong in that aspect of the rubric, so that'll pop right out at you when you light up your paper.
Yeah, and once we do that, then we can do some revisions and we can add some different things. So we like these colors. Again, our colleague Lisa might not like how they all blend together, but we like to talk about, and again, let's just look at our key here. Literary features are yellow, blue is the textual references, the author-audience relationships are orange. Again, that rich idea is green, and then we have transitions in purple. So if you followed any of our videos, we're keeping with those same colors, like it or not.
We're doing the best we can, folks. Okay,
That's
we're
what
trying.
we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, so we want to look at another body paragraph and just quickly talk about what we see. And again, this is just to remind you of what you need to do with your own writing to highlight.
Yeah, of course we noted in previous videos, and I'll do that as well, this transition, this is sort of a middle ground transition, Mr. Giles. It's not one word, it's not a long phrase, but in addition to improvisation, again, it talks about where you've come from and it tells you where you're going next. And it looks like where you're going next is minimal scene transitions and limited props.
Yeah, so that's again that idea, and again connecting to the green rich idea. That's part of our line of inquiry, and we like that. And again, you can see the dramatic terms that are in yellow is really like they're sprinkled throughout the text. It was really easy to talk about a lot of these things as we were writing, but then we're connecting to some references.
Yeah, folks, I do want to take note though, and if you read this paragraph carefully, you'll see Mr. Giles is not just providing a laundry list of terms. He's actually using the terms in his analytical discussion as he links it to the rich idea of the line of inquiry. It is not a list. It is terms being used very effectively in this treatment of the text.
Yeah, and they're all just trying to connect to that idea of again answering my line of inquiry and thinking about the sort of avant-garde feature of the minimalist set and the transitions that are there. So that is what we'd like you to think about.
Can I make one more note?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about those words that are highlighted in green, and I see the word identity several times in the paragraph. Again, you want to think about how cohesive that makes your paper. Stay on that focal point and stay with it throughout the entire HLE.
Yeah. Oh, it's so important. You're right. I think that's, again, like I had to keep that on my mind when I was writing. And there were times where I went back and revised and said, how can I add a sentence to go back to my line of inquiry? So after we've done that, now we want to think about, let's make some revisions. So this is just a guide for revisions that we really like. This is again an acronym called STAR. Maybe your teachers have used this. This is really common, but I like this because this is just a way for like, let's go through my paper and think
you
about
scrutinize your paper carefully and think about the S of STAR, Mr. Giles, is substitute. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we want to take out those weak verbs, those weak adjectives. We want to substitute words. We want to just replace them with stronger vocabulary.
And the T of STAR actually is take out. Sometimes you'll want to delete words. You'll see some repetition or you'll see a word that just doesn't fit and you want to get that out of your paper.
Yeah,
right?
this was like the speech I worked with yesterday. We were taking stuff out.
You did a lot of T yesterday.
Well, we were
right?
helping him take stuff out. And again, add detail. I think adding analysis, adding features. This again, if we've highlighted our paper, we're going to be adding things and changing things.
Yeah, of course the R of STAR is to rearrange or reorder. Sometimes you'll find an idea sort of in the tail end of a paragraph and you might think to yourself, wait a minute, maybe I'll bring that up to the top of the paragraph, and it gives a paragraph a new feel, a new focal point, and sometimes you can move information around it to really find the most effective and impactful order for you.
Okay, so we like the next step, and that's just self-evaluating, and I think it's smart to use the criteria. Someone's going to be evaluating your paper using the criteria, so why not step back and evaluate your own work using the criteria?
Folks, all of our students go through an extensive self-evaluation before they submit anything. This is a very, very important part of the process. Mr. Giles, when you're thinking about criteria A, knowledge, understanding, interpretation, what are some questions or what are some aspects that you're thinking about?
Well, I'm thinking the idea of knowledge is how well am I showing my knowledge of the text that I'm writing about? Am I using detailed references? Am I really showing that sort of rich knowledge? But then again, what is my interpretation of that? That again relates to my line of inquiry. That's the rich idea, I think.
Yeah, and again, I think when we read this paper, there's no question that you've done well with criteria A. Can you talk a little bit about criteria B and what you're looking for in your self-evaluation?
Yeah, I find criteria B, if I had to pick one criteria that I would say, please pay attention to, HLE writers, it's criteria B.
What makes you say that, Mr. Giles?
Because I think sometimes students don't talk enough about those broad authors' choices and thinking about features and techniques. It
becomes sort of a theme essay without those features, and that's not where we're going. This is an exploration of a literary or linguistic aspect. You cannot omit that.
Yeah, you can't be summarizing Great Gatsby and talking about Great Gatsby and the characters and what they're doing, because then you're not really looking at F. Scott Fitzgerald's craft. So again, if the line of inquiry doesn't have that literary aspect, then criteria B falls flat. So we got to remember that, and that the word insightful and convincing comes up in the rubric.
Well, sure. If you want to reach those top bands, you really have to push deeper. You have to do some research. You have to do some deep thinking and move beyond that satisfactory or adequate range. Criteria C is thinking about focus and organization, Mr. Giles. What are some things that you're thinking about as you consider that in your self-evaluation?
Well, I'm thinking about a couple of things. Number one, I'm thinking about the line of inquiry. Is it focused? Is it run throughout the paper? Number two, I'm thinking about that idea of those transitions we talked about. Is there a flow of ideas? Are they connecting paragraphs? Are they within the paragraph? Is there good structural things? And lastly is like the integration of the references and quotations.
Sure. We don't like to see just big quotes just hanging there. We like to see those sort of integrated into your own original sentences. We feel that makes for stronger organization.
And I hate to say it, but if it's a 1,200 word paper and it's a 1,500 word limit, probably your development, your criteria score at a max would be a 3 out of 5 because it's just not developed enough.
Yeah, there's a 1,500 word limit. We prefer that you try to push as far into that or as close to that as possible.
Yeah, don't go over. And then lastly is just the language. This is about precision. This is, again, a process paper, so the standard is high. We need to make sure that, again, if we've used those revision techniques, we're thinking about our careful choice of words, we're thinking about our careful use of grammatical structures, varying our sentence structures. Again, whatever we can do as writers to stand out and be more effective, this is going to help with just producing a good, well-polished paper.
Now, Mr. Giles, once you've done that reflective piece and sort of evaluated your own work and gone back and made some changes, can we talk a little bit about the format of the paper? I see a lot of questions from students and teachers about the format of the paper. Can you run us through some of the key principles here?
Yeah, I just made a list of what I like as an examiner. So this is just my personal preference. I don't think that IB has a specific, format that they require. But
They don't.
I think
this works nicely.
This works for me. I like a title page. I like the title. If you have a clever title, underneath that title should have your clear line of inquiry on your cover. So if you look at our sample paper, we've got that. And you include the word count on the cover. So again, I've given a sample title page that you can look at. Again, I think it's smart to also include the line of inquiry at the top of the next page so that the line of inquiry is just at the top. to remind us of what you're talking about.
Now, Mr. Giles, of course, we want to number our pages. We want to include a works cited page. What do you recommend about spacing and font? Again, these are very open. There's no prescriptive information from the IB. What do you like?
I like 1.5 spacing at a minimum, either 1.5 or 2, because it's just, I think it's teachers are used to reading papers that have 1.5 spacing and a 12-point font, so we don't want to be clever. I don't think we want to cram our whole paper into a single-spaced text. I don't think that works. Notice that we did for some of our videos. Sometimes we have single-spaced things, but for a paper like this, you want 1.5 spacing, and then you make it into a PDF. Name the PDF, and then you're ready to go.
You're ready to go. You turn that thing in, and you feel proud of yourself for the work you've done, and you take what grade comes. Okay, Mr. Giles, that concludes our process. What can you offer our students?
Yeah, I would just say follow the process. Don't be intimidated by the HL essay. This is an essay you can do from start to finish just by taking it one step at a time. You're not doing all those steps in one sitting.
No.
You're taking it in pieces, and along the way you're getting help from your teacher. And we hope that this helps you produce a great essay. This is a great skill that you're going to take with you in your next step in university or use in your other classes. So we hope this helps. And let us know in the comments below what you think about the process and how it's working for you.
Folks, we'll catch you next time, and thanks for watching our HLE 1 to 5 start to finish. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.